Man, we're back recording again. It's been a little bit of time.
We're back. You guys are back from Argentina. I think we had a previous episode talking about Argentina.
We did.
What your expectations were.
Yeah, we did. And, Argentina, it wasn't what we expected. I'll just say that. A lot of good. We had I can't speak for her, but we had a good time sightseeing, the culture, the people. But yeah, there was some stuff that was not up to our expectations, unfortunately. Do you agree?
Yeah, like the outfitter itself or himself. The camp was good. The food was good. We got a ton of footage of water buffalo out in front of him. There was a huge communication gap. So the guides that we had couldn't speak English, so they're on their phone, and you know what it's like when you're stalking animals. You have to be quiet. You can't move around a lot. And so there weren't really any set ahead signals or anything like that. So it was kind of a crap show when we were out. I don't know if I could say the other word.
You can.
Okay. So it was pretty much a shit show when we were out trying to hunt.
Oh, you can't say that though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so we were doing the best that we could. It was cool. We're in Argentina, and a lot like Africa, the trees all had like needles on them and
a lot of thorns there. I don't think as much as Africa, but there was still some fauna and flora that was similar to it. But no, she's right. The communication gap was one of the worst things. And again, we're in their country, so I mean, we dealt with it. Our problem was we were bow hunting spot and stock for buffalo. And so not to be able to communicate with these two young guys who were not bow hunters themselves. I know that the very first day we got on a herd of buffalo and we're crawling. We get to 53 yards and the bull is bedded down and there's brush all around him. And the guide's like, shoot, shoot, shoot. He just kept saying that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to shoot. There's brush in front of him. So they eventually smelled us, ran off. He got Google Translate and told me I needed longer arrows. That's what he told me. Excuse me.
Do they penetrate the brush better?
Yeah, I don't know how long we needed them, but that's when we got back to camp that night.
Before.
Yeah,
wasn't the first time I heard that,
right?
But we got back to camp and we said, "There's just no way this is going to work." But even back up before that, we get to Argentina, and our outfitter, he did have rides arranged for us, like he said he would. But his communication on getting to camp was poor, so I had to reach out to him a couple times. Wasn't that big a deal, but I still thought he could have been a little bit more communicative with us. And he invited us down. We saw him at a outdoor show down in Utah, and he's like, "Come down. You guys can hunt. You guys can film." And so I said, "Yeah." I said, "I would personally. I don't want to hunt red stag. I'd like to hunt buffalo." Pardon me. And he goes, "Yeah, just come on down." And I said, "Tell me what the cost is of the buffalo hunt so I can budget." And he goes, No, you don't pay. You don't worry. You're filming." Oh, that was nice of him.
Yeah.
So we get there and we walk in and he's just stoic. I mean, there's no smile on his face. And he's just cold. Wouldn't even talk to us. Wouldn't even hardly acknowledge Ozzy. Wouldn't talk to our friends. And then everybody's kind of getting their rooms and getting the lay of the land. And so I went to him and I said, "Hey, man, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here and film some good stuff." And I said, "Just let me know what I need to do for the buffalo." And he looks right at me and he goes, "You have the effing price list, don't you?"
Oh.
And I said, "I do have the effing price list." So that's how the hunt started. And the reason I went down to Argentina, I mean, of course, he invited us down, but he's been one of my top outfitters for years. Excuse me, taking care of a lot of clients. But the last two that went had some major problems with him. Hidden fees, not communicating, treating them like they were outsiders. And I don't know, we felt the exact same way.
Yeah, it was. I've been on a few trips with Erin. And then when he goes by himself, I talk to him quite a bit. He said this was the first time he was kind of anxious to leave, to go home. We just the whole time didn't feel like we were welcome there. And we ended up paying like full price for what we got. And cold shoulder the whole time. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. And even our friends that were there that had won a trip to go there, which is another reason we went at the same time, he was doing kind of the same to them. And you could see him with the other hunters at camp, like really engaging and ask them about their day and what they could do better and really trying to help them get what they were there for. And we had to track him down to even talk to him at all. And it was real short, curt answers that he gave us. Erin, I think, stopped him one time and said, "Hey, what's going on? Did we upset you?" Because it was so obvious. And
Right.
yeah, it was not a good experience.
Yeah, he
and
had
our
no
friends
answer.
didn't like it.
He just played dumb. He's like, no, everything's great. But he was short with actually all the clients, I felt, with the exception of one. We kind of catered to this one. And I talked to my clients that were there before me, and he said the same thing. There was one or two clients in camp that were spending a lot of money. So he was catering to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, I go on a lot of these hunts, and the outfitter, when we got back every night, he would go with his guides, stand off to the side, and they would just drink. Hey, that's fine if that's your thing. But he would not interact with us. Like we were the outsiders, and we were imposing on them. And so it was just a weird vibe. And then couple that with the first talk on the buffalo, I finally, back at camp that night, told him that we needed to hunt over water. I said, look, I'm bow hunting. We need to hunt over water because I knew that stalking wasn't going to work. And so we actually built a brush blind and fought with him about that. I said, no, it needs to be done like this. We need to have a backstop. And we finally built it. But it was a train wreck, to say the least. I mean, these buffalo would come in, and I had a bull at 20 yards broadside, but they told me don't shoot until they tell me. Well, they didn't say anything. The bull went off. Then they type in, why the hell didn't you shoot? I said, you never told me. And because in Argentina, you don't just shoot a buffalo. There's different levels. There's bronze, silver, gold. So the size of the buffalo matters. So does the price tag. And we were there actually hunting just a bronze. And so I didn't want to make a mistake. So the communication was poor. And then after that day, one of our guides, he started treating us really poorly too. And actually didn't even go out with us twice.
Oh,
Stayed back in camp pouting. Yeah. It was crazy.
Should have brought longer arrows.
If I had longer
I'm
arrows,
just telling you.
we would have been okay. I don't know what the FOC on a 50-yard arrow is, but we could sure try it. So it was it was a weird experience. I mean, some of the guides were actually pretty nice. But another thing that we thought was weird were most everybody there was there hunting red stag. And he promotes free range red stag. He also has an estate, high fence. These guys were walking 7-8 miles a day, not seeing any animals. And when they did, the guides would run after the animals because they didn't want them to jump the neighbor's fence.
Oh.
So, I mean, it was not really conducive for hunting. And so what they do, I found this out too, is that, okay, you hunt 3 or 4 days, free range. Then they'll come to you and say, would you like to go in the high fence for more money? And, our friend who won the hunt, they offered him to do that, and he shot a stag, and, he paid extra money for it. So it was just, I didn't like it. We have 2 outfitters in Argentina that we use, but I will say as of today, we now have 1. I won't work with this outfitter anymore. And I told him that, even at the end of it, he came to us and he said, I need you guys to tip my staff. Absolutely. I go on all these hunts. I tip everybody. He handed me a bill for 5 days for $2,600.
Oh, wow.
In tips.
Wow.
And I said, okay, that's fine. So when we left, we all talked about it because the whole group was upset about it, that he's not paying his staff. Oh. We're paying the staff. Mm-hmm. So these aren't tips. We're giving them wages. And that left a bad taste in my mouth. For example, my other outfitter's 2 hours away from where we're at. And I said, how much are your charter flights into camp? And he's like, $200. We got charged $900 a person.
Oh, wow.
For the charter flight. $1,800 versus $400. So, it's just stuff like that. And I mean, I know it sounds like we're complaining a lot, but we're just kind of going over what we found. And that's why we do go visit these outfitters, because now he's not in our rotation. We don't want you or any clients going there and having that experience.
Sure, that's a good piece of True Flight Adventures, is you actually go there and see the outfitters firsthand
Yeah.
to make sure your clients are going to be taken care of.
Yeah, we do. We kind of we'll scrutinize. We'll pay attention to a lot of things that others maybe wouldn't notice because we're sending clients there,
Right.
and we want them to have the best experience possible. And then sometimes, well, a lot of times, if Aaron sees something that's not going right or something that he thinks might not be well for like one of our clients, then he'll talk to the outfitter and just say, hey, this is what's going on. And they're always receptive, and they just want to work together to do the best customer service. I'm really glad that we vetted this guy, because I think he's probably really good for some, probably with money, and then others really bad. And it's a trip for some people of a lifetime,
Right.
to go down there and do this.
Yeah.
They need to have a good experience. We've gone on hunts where you walk away with no animal, but we've had just a
Right.
wonderful time. That's what they didn't deliver. So,
And I always tell people that when they're talking to me about booking hunts. I mean, we have we're a hunting consulting company. I understand that, but we're more about the service aspect of it. We're not going to sell you animals, or we're not going to do stuff like that. We want you to have a good experience. And so it boils down to, are you going to be met at the airport? Are you going to be smiled at when you're in camp? Are you going to be made to feel like you're part of the family or an outsider? So we go, and you've been on enough of these to know, especially even with our outfitter in Africa, you are family from the moment you get there, whether you're hunting one impala or the big five.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much money you're spending. We saw just the opposite in Argentina, unfortunately. And so, but going back, it's not just this outfitter. We had a trip last year. There was a kid that, sent me a message on Facebook and said, I'm looking for a hunting consultant. And he was from Ireland. And we talked quite a bit. And he goes, I'd like you to come over, bring a group, and let's hunt for some cyca deer. Okay, maybe some fallow deer. So we planned it all out. We took a group over there, and yeah, you can touch on this. It definitely was nothing like he told us.
no, what I can say for this guy is he's got a lot of energy, and he's super excited, and he really wanted this to be a good experience for everybody. I just think that he's inexperienced, and he really didn't know what he was doing, and then he would get frustrated and kind of take it out on us. I think the ambition was there. He just didn't have his ducks in a row yet. The place was nice where we stayed, not the accommodations that we're used to. That was like, here, throw us all into this house and you're on your own. And there's a store in town, but we kind of had to wait for rides there and stuff because you couldn't just walk to it. And so we went and bought some stuff and kind of stocked up. And there was some communication barriers there as well. We went out hunting. It was like good old boys out in the bayou. I mean, it was not organized at all. And beautiful country. Erin and I actually got the opportunity to go on our own, and that one day, it was neat. It was kind of romantic to be out there. It was awesome. We're up in the hills of Ireland, but the outfitter itself just fell short.
Yeah, and I think overall, I think he's a really nice kid. I do. I just think he just wasn't very organized. Guides were showing up at different times. We'd go hunt an area that he had exclusive rights to, so it was a locked gate. It's all free range. He would forget his key, so we couldn't hunt there. He got frustrated one morning, and the guy that opened the gate, he left him. We drive to the top of the mountain. He's like, where the hell's so-and-so? We're like, you left him at the gate. We drive back down there, and this client wouldn't even get in the pickup because he wanted to fight him. He was so mad.
Wow.
And so, that's why we do go, especially for new outfitters. We always go and check them out all the time. But Ireland is amazing. But the outfitter he needed some organization skills and probably some people skills. Like, he would cater dinner, which was totally fine, and it was very good. But he would come in, and before any of us or even the ladies got food, he went and got a plate and would go sit down and start eating.
Oh.
He wouldn't ask if anybody needed anything. He was just all about himself. And so, just little things that I talk to him about too. And so if he can, fix those things, he could be a good outfitter. So we usually leave if an outfitter isn't up to our standard. We tell them why in a nice way. And then it's up to them if they want to make changes. If they do, we'll look at it. If not, they're probably not going to be a part of True Flight.
Right.
Good
point.
Yeah. So, we've had a couple trips. Everybody's like, oh, you guys, all your trips are so great. And hey, we're lucky and we're blessed, but we've had some doozies too.
Absolutely. Circling back to Argentina, before you left, you're talking that it's going to be the Roar.
Yes.
How was that?
That was neat.
It was neat, but I tell you what, there wasn't much of it going on.
Really?
Yeah, I hunted in New Zealand in June, and I heard more roaring then than I heard in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
The most roaring we heard was in the high fence.
A high fence early in the morning.
Yeah,
And
early
then
in the
it kinda
morning.
died out.
Because that's where the animals were.
Yeah. And so all the free range stuff, so we hunted 5 days. We stalked every day, plus we hunted water. And I want to say we saw 2 red stag. Was it 2?
I think it was 2.
Free range.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we saw 1 axis doe. And we did see a lot of buffalo, mainly cows. But, it was fun stalking buffalo. It was just, I told her, actually, after day 3, I'm like, it's not going to happen probably with the language barrier, but let's just capture some footage. And we have some amazing footage.
Nice.
And it will be on an episode of Giving Back TV for season 8, I believe. So.
And I have to say, too, the thunderstorms that they get there are unlike anything I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
And so we did Erin was, I think it was the last night we were there.
Yeah.
And him and one of the guides actually left our blind and went around to try and kind of put the sneak on these buffalo that were coming in. And this storm came in and the lightning show was incredible.
It lasted 3 hours.
We got a lot of that
non-stop.
on footage.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We were in our blind that we made and it started to rain a little bit. And our guides were just packing up stuff. And we're like, no, we can handle rain. Like, let's stay here. And they're like, no, we're going to go over to back farther. There was a shed blind.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we were frustrated with them already. So we take our stuff and we get in there. Minute we get inside, it just dropped.
Downpour.
Just downpoured. It was like a flash flood. And we're like, okay, these guys have been here before. They knew what was coming. But it was an incredible storm.
No, it was. We always, no matter if the trip's good or bad, we always take some good from it. And both trips, Ireland was beautiful. We got to have breakfast in a castle.
That's cool.
Argentina, a lot of the staff was really good. And just to be out. And I had a good time in Argentina and actually sightseeing.
How was Buenos Aires?
Buenos Aires, I thought, was really cool. There was so much architecture there. And we hit museums and just... I really, really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I wish we could have spent more time there. Honestly, I would have rather done more sightseeing that trip than hunting, but it just didn't work out. So,
sure.
So anyway, So that's our 2 experiences there. So you guys know, if you book a trip with us, these outfitters are going to be vetted. We're checking all of our outfitters, not just the new ones, but the ones we have already in the hopper. We're checking them out all the time.
Absolutely. And if you book through True Flight Adventures and you're having communication issues through email with an outfitter, get a hold of us because we know the outfitter and we can call them and talk to them and break that barrier for you.
Yep, that's what we're here for. We tell people we help from start to finish, before, after, and during the hunt.
Yep, absolutely.
So, thanks for letting us share, man. Appreciate it.
You bet. Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for joining us again, Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Oz.
My pleasure.
Bye, guys.
All right, thanks. Bye.
If any of you want to go on any of these hunts or trips around the world that we talk about on this podcast, True Flight Adventures can help you with every step of the way. Get a hold of us either by calling or emailing, and we can get you on that trip of a lifetime.
Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to hear more of our stories and commentary, or something to sleep to, be sure to follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, or Apple Podcast. If you enjoy watching us ramble on, then subscribe on YouTube or Carbon TV. Until next time on Giving Back TV Podcast.